This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome back to a new YouTube video. Hope you guys are all doing well. Now, this video, I wanted to explain to you guys a question that I get asked often, and that is, why do I use Fujifilm cameras so often? Now, I've been using Fuji cameras for the last probably 3-ish years, maybe 2.5, and they've quickly become my favorite digital camera that I've ever used. I've used quite a variety of different Fuji cameras, everything from the X100V to the GFX100 to the 100S, as well as the 50R. Now, between all these different cameras, I really feel like I have a good understanding of the Fujifilm ecosystem and overall just how it works for me as a photographer. And I want to shed a little bit of light on why I use Fuji so much and why I think they are making the best cameras on the market right now. So I want to preface this by saying that I use the GFX100S specifically for very niche photography things, different subjects and different workflows. And it's not going to work for everyone. For me, I've really had to kind of change the way that I shoot, the way that I edit, the way that I store my files, especially when you're working with a medium format system. A lot of things change in that department, and it's important to remember that you're not just buying a new camera system, but you're also buying kind of a new workflow as well. Ever since purchasing the original GFX 100 and now having the 100S, I really do feel like Fuji on the medium format side of things is making some of the best cameras available today. Everything from the detail, the sharpness, to the dynamic range, to the way that these files can be edited in post using 16-bit color depth. I don't really know what else you could ask for in that department. These images are gorgeous to work on, and whenever I get the chance or I have the opportunity to use the GFX 100S over something else, I will always gravitate towards that. Now, of course, there's some caveats. The sensor is massive, so these files are really big. On average, I would say the files on the 100S are over 200 megabytes in size, and that's something to consider, especially if you need to upgrade your storage solutions or your processing power on your computer, both of which I've had to do since buying the system. It's important to remember that it's not just the camera itself. You need to really have everything to be able to kind of work really well with that system, and your computer and storage solutions are included in that. However, once you do take these images and you start really looking at the detail of them and the way that the sharpness renders and the fall off between what's in focus and what's not, it just looks amazing. This is the closest thing to medium format film that I've ever seen. I really do feel like I can get pretty close, if not exactly, to everything that I shoot on other previous medium format cameras with this system. I just don't think it's that far off, and it's so much more simple, easier to use, and in the long run, it's a lot cheaper than continuing to buy film over and over again. Now, this is not a gripe on film whatsoever. I do still shoot that quite frequently, especially with this guy right here, the Mamiya 7 II. But overall, the 100S is an incredible camera, and I really do feel like I've been able to make some of my best work using this system. To me, what stands out the most about Fuji when it comes to their whole line of cameras is definitely their colors. I really do feel like it's easier to get to a point where your images look good than with any other camera system that I've tried. And I've tried quite a few of them. I haven't really messed around with Sony too much, but I compare a lot to my Canon R5, which is what I'm filming on right now. And to me, the R5 actually is an amazing camera as well. I do use this, I would say, more often, especially when it comes to paid work versus the 100S, just because it's so much faster. And when I'm tethering, this works a lot better. Overall, it's just a much faster workflow, and the images look beautiful. I mean, this camera's no joke. It's 45 megapixels, but I do think the Fuji has a leg up on it in terms of color and the way that the color is rendered, especially on the still side of things. I think it just looks absolutely gorgeous. I do love the ability to be able to crop as well. You can crop these images 300, 400, 500%, and you're still gonna be able to retain a lot of that detail that you had previously in the full-size image. It's really nice knowing that you can kind of manipulate this in post. I'm not one to do a lot of heavy post work on a lot of my images, but I do enjoy the option if I need to. Now, on the APS-C smaller camera side of things, I have used several different cameras that I've enjoyed. The main one being obviously the Fuji X100V, which is an absolutely amazing camera. A lot of people love that and swear by that camera. It's a very popular camera right now, I think, especially because they are not making them as much as they used to. So I'm assuming there's probably something new coming out at some point. I think my dream setup with this would definitely be a full frame camera of some sort. To me, I just don't love using APS-C for stills. For video, it's totally fine. I don't really notice too much of a difference. I think it looks just fine. We shot on the Canon C70 for a long time, which is not full frame, and that looked great. So I think when it comes to having a small camera like that in a compact size that takes beautiful images, the X100V, in my opinion, is by far the best out there and the best choice for most people. Obviously, you have things like the Leica Q2 and things like that, but I'm mainly focusing on Fuji as like a whole, as an ecosystem. So if you buy in and you get several of their different cameras, you know, one for walking around, taking photos, one for more professional stuff, I think they really have a lot of things covered in that department, and it really makes it easy for you to make a decision like that. Now, when it comes to what I'm looking for from Fuji in the future, I really do want some sort of full frame camera, some competitor to the R5, some competitor to the Leica Q2. That's a full frame sensor. To me, as a photographer, I love using full frame. I don't really love using APS-C, as I mentioned before, for stills purposes. And obviously their medium format cameras are to die for. They are some of the best cameras that I've ever used, if not the best. And I think the GFX 100S specifically is probably my favorite camera that I've ever used. It just works perfectly. And I think for the way that I like to shoot, it's been really fun to see what that looks like on a medium format sensor. Now, with all this being said, I'm not saying that any other camera brand isn't great. I think nowadays every single camera is pretty incredible. But when it comes to what I personally love to use, it's definitely Fujifilm. Canon is definitely shortly behind that, but I do think if I have the choice, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, Fuji is always going to be the camera that I gravitate towards the most. It's just such a great camera system, and the GFX 100S specifically is what I have the most experience with. It's pretty hard to beat. Now, obviously, I can ramble all day about different specs and what I love about each camera, but I would love to share images taken with these cameras to show you guys really, kind of what I've been able to capture and share with these systems. Most of these images are shot on the GFX 100S. A few of these are on the X100V as well, which will be noted at the bottom of the screen. But that's all I have for you guys today. I wanted to just share with you a little bit about why I love Fuji so much and why I'm excited about them in the future. I really think that they're a very forward-thinking camera company, and I'm excited to see what they do with the next iterations of their cameras that they have out today. Before this video wraps up, I did want to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, which is Squarespace, for sponsoring today's episode. If you are looking to create a custom website from scratch without all the coding and hassles that come with it, Squarespace is by far the best choice out there, in my opinion, to make a beautiful website. They have easy to use templates, which make creating a beautiful theme that much easier, 24/7 customer support for all of your questions, and tons of customizable design and layout choices to really make your website stand out. For a photographer like myself, running a small business with multiple different kinds of needs, Squarespace really just makes sense. If you're interested in trying out Squarespace for yourself, go to squarespace.com/Samuel Elkins, which is in the description, to get 10% off your first website or domain purchase. As always, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one, and we'll see you next week.